business partner if we're gonna have a good video. We're gonna have a good video. Most likely. All right, we can proceed. Hey y'all, welcome back to my video. We're on episode 3 of Magical Movie Moments, Decades of Duds, the 1960s. And the 1960s were a crazy swinging time, and I had a crazy swinging good time making this guy my 1960s mini dress. I would have to say that this decade was definitely the most challenging on hair and makeup for me because I am neither a hair nor a makeup artist. So I spent a couple of hours trying to figure out this look, but I think it turned out pretty good. It's really cute. And I don't know how people did this like every day of their lives. It was a ton of work and a ton of hairspray. I did 2 separate looks actually because the first one didn't work out so well and had to settle on this cloth. I went for the iconic 1960s kind of twiggy look and I think that it turned out really well. And it was a lot of fun doing it, though it took me a couple of hours to put all this together, believe it or not. I think hair the longest because I pretty much took it down and had to start all over again. Why don't we get into a clip of me getting ready for this video? Okay, I messed with it for like 40 minutes, I think, just to get it to here. Like I said, I'm definitely not the best. I'm going to use this as inspiration for my makeup. It doesn't look like it's gonna be super heavy or anything like that. Here we go. Yeah, my camera lost battery at the very end, so I had to switch to my phone while I was doing my eyeliner, which I'm not 100% sure I did a great job, and it's been about an hour now and I feel like I've rubbed my eyes a couple of times, so my lower lash eyeliner is probably done gonzy. Thanks again for coming on these journeys with me. I had a great time researching the 60s to see what had happened and why we wore what we wore. This is the time of the video that I'm going to insert my disclaimer that I put in every single one of these videos. First off, I am not a fashion historian, nor am I a fashion student. I just do a bit of research on the internet, and sometimes I can be wrong. Second, the purpose of these videos is to celebrate costumery depicted in film. I do not plan to discuss the plots, nor do I claim to be aligned with a lot of the themes represented therein. To be honest, I haven't seen all of these movies. I don't have that kind of time. Unfortunately, racism, misogyny, cultural appropriation, traditional gender roles, and offensive stereotyping is possible in any of these films. I just felt like it would be amiss for me not to have pointed that out. I think it's obvious to everyone, but I just wanted to put it out there in the world. We really just want to talk about what they're wearing, but it is important to say it. I also don't plan to spoil anything because I don't plan to discuss the plots, but it's me and anything's possible, so I'm just gonna lay down a blanket spoiler alert right now. I thank you guys so much for coming with me and watching these videos. I have so much fun making them. I love you so much. So let's get to it. Here is the fabric that I had intended to use for this project. I got it from the thrift store. It's a curtain. It feels pretty great. It's also a little thicker, so I feel like it would give it that structure that an A-line dress needs. But as it turns out, there wasn't enough. So in order to get this project going, after I looked through all of my stash for kind of the flavor, the colors that I was looking for, and the texture, I wasn't finding anything that really tickled my biscuits for this project. So unfortunately I had to go to Joann's and pick up some clearance fabric that will work hopefully for this project, and I will go show that to you now. As usual, we always start out with our overarching themes of the 1960s. And since fashion is not an island, it's always a response. Let's list a few things that happened in the 60s. The 1960s had many conflicts that could be attributed to the Cold War, which was between communism and capitalism, the East and West. But due to the nuclear aptitudes of both sides, a full-scale war would have brought no winners. Also, the Cuban Missile Crisis had many of us believing that we were close to a worldwide nuclear war. And of course, the Vietnam War. This was a war most people couldn't understand why we were even fighting it, and regularly protested it while demonstrating their freedom of speech rights. We also had civil rights protests, race riots, the assassination of US President John F. Kennedy, also his brother Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X. There was a lot of scary stuff going on in the war, and we saw the youth of the 1960s flocking to find any means of escapism. I want to call this the time of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The Beatles emerged, bringing in the British invasion, which included the Kinks, Rolling Stones, The Who, and many, many more. The Woodstock Music Festival takes place in New York. Doctor Who, Star Trek, and Sesame Street premiere. And eventually, we got to the moon.
Okay, no. You're doing that thing
What thing?
where you spiral and start to believe conspiracy theories. Don't go there.
And how did fashion respond to everything that was going on in the 60s? Well, in the early 60s, fashion was very similar to the 50s. Maybe some different patterns and some brighter colors, but still a generalized fit and flare type of look was still wildly popular. And then it kind of moves out into a more A-line style rather than the nipped-in waist and the full skirt. And those bright colors just kept coming and kept getting brighter with wild, psychedelic patterns, huge flowers, and anything, I think, to put a smile on people's faces during this dark, dark time. And also, for whatever reason, everyone was interested in looking like children. I think getting back to, the joys of your youth and the joys of childhood and being carefree, which is something that most adults weren't experiencing because the world just seemed so scary at the time. In this image, you can see here what it may have looked like between kind of an older female population and what the young crew was doing, just kind of mixing and matching and showing those legs and just trying all sorts of different things. Not only did they look cute and kind of childlike, it had a lot less structure than these tweed and woolen matching suits. High fashion just kept getting weirder and weirder and more colorful, and the hairstyles just kept getting higher. And we were definitely showing more leg than anybody has ever seen in the decades prior. The 60s experimented with all sorts of things. Most of the fashions were pretty structured, but the colors got wild and crazy, and also pastels, lemon yellows, bright reds. And I don't have an image of it here, but houndstooth was really big, and color-blocked dresses. They were experimenting with different fabrics, plastics, different materials to make clothes with. They had trends ranging from outer space to more romantic, Renaissance-y inspired outfits. Also, hippies existed in the 60s, not the 70s, and their aesthetic was light and carefree. It was a little Eastern European, and it was a little peasant looking and very relaxed. And oh my god, is that Julia Stiles? But wait, I don't know. I looked around. Every image and research I could find tells me this is an actual picture from the 60s, but if that is not Julia Stiles, then I don't know who is. And of course, one of my favorite trends to ever come out of anywhere are these wild and crazy maxi dresses. Just bright psychedelic colors, finding yourself lost in your escapism, trying to put a smile on your face and brighten the world wherever you can. How about we take a look at our 1960s style icons? Cher, Marsha Hunt, The Supremes, Jackie Kennedy, Twiggy, Elizabeth Taylor, Paul Newman, Elvis Presley, Janis Joplin, The Beatles, Jane Birkin.
I got a nice Birkin bag!
Yeah, that Birkin. Audrey Hepburn, Raquel Welch, and Nancy Kwan. Audrey is rocking her style icon status in this movie, but come on. Audrey's wardrobe was created by a Givenchy with this amazing fall palette of reds, mustards, creams, and browns, quintessential 1960s structured dresses, and amazing detail, like these pom-poms on this jacket, and this gorgeous beaded trim on this little black dress. What a quirky little movie with A+ early 60s fashion. You gotta check this one out for sure. Woodstock was planned as a music festival where ultimately 32 musical acts played over 3 days, and about 500,000 people gathered to celebrate peace and love. But why put it in my video about movie fashion though? Well, because it was eventually made into a documentary-style movie, and it's going to show the most authentic hippie-esque styles of the 1960s. The musical acts were not too shabby either. You're going to see people in folksy attire. The hippie counterculture was on the leading edge of ecological consciousness and started recycling vintage clothing and other textiles in very unconventional ways. Or they were donned in utilitarian clothing of t-shirts, blue jeans, creating an anti-fashion movement. And let's not forget,
This was an outdoor music festival in August, and it was overcrowded. It was hot, muddy, dirty, and sometimes the fashion was just butt naked. At the end of the day, Woodstock was about peace, music, and making love, not war. I had to include Arabesque because of the stunning wardrobe created for Sophie Loren by Yves Saint Laurent and Marc Bohan for Dior. You know these outfits are going to be stunning. And I'm pretty sure it was helped by the fact that Sophia is stunning. This gold hooded caftan and elegantly detailed black dress are probably my favorites. You're also going to see the new materials people started to use, like this coat that appears to be made out of vinyl. Really, it was finding this photo of the gold caftan that made me research this movie. Sophia is elegant, classy, vulnerable, and sassy. In a word, perfect. Okay, this movie is so heartbreakingly good. It's not just in the visualizations and the feel of the 1960s, the set design, the costumes, the attitude, but the way it was shot was so lovely.
Libya service?
The day after tomorrow.
Well, I suppose I should get off the phone and book a plane flight.
The service is just for family.
For family, of course.
The story of a man losing his partner of 16 years, and he's not permitted to even be at the service. He is depressed. He has decided to take his life. The world has no color for him. However, when he encounters something that sparks appreciation, the whole scene that was once washed out is now alive with color. But yeah, the fashion. It is exquisite. The director is Tom Ford, the man who reinvented Gucci, eventually launched his own brand, and in 2009 turned director. This, I assume, is why this movie gives me all the mid-century feels and puts me in a place. Everything I want out of the 1960s aesthetic is wrapped up in this movie. Go watch it now. I saved the best for last. I am not even sure where to start with this movie. What a Way to Go is so campy and adorably goofy, and just the slightest bit cringe. But that aside, the costumes, the gowns are to die for. There were over 73 outfits created for Louisa from the amazing brain of Edith Head. How about this? So I don't bore you with a bunch of blabber, enjoy this montage of my favorites. My runner-up is this emerald green satin gown with the long sash adornments. My absolute favorite, of course, is the diamond dress that speaks to every glitter, sparkle, crystal, diamond bone in my body. Shirley MacLaine is working the hell out of this gown. And the Harry Winston jeweled accessories.
Talk to me, Harry Winston. Tell me all about it.
Now for the closet reveal, where I take things from my own closet and try to make some pretty snazzy 1960s looks with them. This first one is a thrifted piece, of course. When I saw it at the thrift store, it kind of gave me that Sophia Loren classy 1960s wine drinking party feel. And I just wrapped my hair up in a sparkly black scarf that I had lying around. What do you think? Does it work? Again, not a big surprise, another thrifted piece. I felt like I hit the jackpot when I found this at the thrift store on the shelf. It has this gorgeous skin-colored neck accent that's completely beaded with gold and silver beads. And it's beautifully 1960s orange. I just love it. It's great. Before we move on to the reveal, I wanted to show this one last piece. I could not get it on. I used to wear it in high school. I had these delusions that I could get it on, but I cannot get it on. This was my grandmother's dress. I'm pretty sure it is authentically from the 60s. One of my most favorite dresses in the world. It has this barely there sparkle and absolutely gorgeous silhouette. Isn't she beautiful? All right, I just wanted to share her. Oh my god, that was so much fun. Oh my gosh. I love playing the role of a supermodel for like 2 seconds. So what do you guys think? Did she turn out okay? I think it's great. A little short in the back for my tastes. Not used to wearing anything short. I don't even wear shorts, so this is definitely out of the box for me. Let's talk a little bit about what went well. I think the pattern itself that I used was super simple. I'm glad I decided the bias tape around the hem and around the armholes. I was thinking about putting it around the neck too, but I kind of like the idea of it just being around the sleeves and the hem. It kind of gives that girly look
that everybody was going for in the 60s. Everybody wanted to look like a little kid, it seemed. So I just felt like it was an added bonus to kind of give it a childish nature to the design. I also feel like one of the things that probably didn't go so well is because I had chose this bright pattern, the orange and the blue, I really wanted that kind of bright, kind of elementary school colors. So when I saw the oranges on the blue, I thought it was perfect, but you kind of lose the gold buttons on the front, and that's kind of a miss for me because the gold buttons are so cute. Were you alive in the 60s? What was your favorite part of it? Are you somebody who's a fan of that fashion? You know, let me know. Let's have a conversation, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.